Good morning, everybody. It's a great day to be in Tampa Bay, Port Tampa Bay. Welcome here to our Cruise Terminal 6 for this exciting day. My name's Paul Anderson, President and CEO of Port Tampa Bay, and thank you to all of our friends, partners, stakeholders that have come out for this exciting announcement today for our channel vision for the future. I want to introduce the people that are here joining me today. Louis Ajmel with Bamilo Ajmel Partners, Mayor Bob Buckhorn, who everybody knows, Chair of the County Commission, who also everybody knows, Sandra Merman, and Chair of Port Tampa Bay, Steve Swindle. We are all excited to be here for this announcement. This is an unprecedented opportunity for Port Tampa Bay to optimize the potential of 45 acres of port-owned land that is strategically located within the Channel District while preserving the area's working and maritime waterfront operations. This area plays an integral part of the city's rich and long history. It is well known for its banana docks, right down adjacent to this building, where huge shipments of bananas and produce arrived daily from Central and South America during the 60s and the 70s. Today, that same area will play a key part of the city's future. Redeveloping its land within the Channel District will ultimately strengthen Port Tampa Bay's financial outlook and provide funding to support the port's maritime activities for decades to come. In fact, it will create long-term sustained economic growth within the 5,000 acres of the port. The property that we're talking about represents a small but very significant piece of the overall 5,000 acre footprint of Port Tampa Bay and adds to the diversity, the uniqueness, and importance of the port overall. Our plan cements Tampa's ongoing efforts to do what other great cities have done, such as San Diego, New Orleans, Vancouver, Baltimore, and other cities that have built their great cities around their ports. Our vision for the Channel District complements nearby plans by Jeff Innick's strategic property partners to create a new urban neighborhood around Amalie Arena. It also builds upon the evolution of the adjacent neighborhood, which over the past 20 years has transformed from a light industrial warehouse district into one of the most exciting urban residential neighborhoods in the state. The plan anticipates a market-driven, phased development over 15 years from the south to the north. And let me make very clear, that's starting in the south towards the aquarium and moving slowly to the north. The plan protects and enhances the needs of the maritime community while improving the quality of life in the area. The partnerships with the City of Tampa and private sector help further the vision, create more option, and increases the plan's overall impact. Together, we are stronger. The vision plan will elevate the port's status as the largest economic engine in West Central Florida and a provider of nearly 80,000 jobs to the regional economy. So with that being said, it is my pleasure to introduce one of the finest mayors in North America, Bob Buckhorn.
I love appearing with Paul Anderson because 2 years ago it was the greatest mayor in Florida, and then it moved to America. Now it's all of North America. So Paul, I appreciate that. The fact is, I'm not the mayor of my own house. So first of all, let me say to Paul and to Chairwoman Merman and to the chairman of the Tampa Port Authority, Steve Swindle, and to the board members, John Grandolph, who is here. First of all, thank you. Thank all of you for being a part of this amazing announcement. If you think back 4 or 5 years ago, when we began to turn that page in Tampa's history and Tampa's development, when we began to look at that next chapter of what we could be, not what we've been, but building on that amazing foundation and looking forward to what this city could aspire to be. And we made a decision at that point that we weren't going to settle for second best, that we didn't have to ask anybody's permission anymore, that this was a city that was on the move, this was a city of a hope, this was a city of destiny that was ready to turn that page and move to its next iteration. And that has occurred. The beginnings of that have occurred. And if you look about where we are right now as a city, and the amazing transformation of our urban core, and the exciting things that are about to happen on the west side of the Hillsborough River, we have become that place of hope, that city of destiny, that place that we always knew we could be, that we had the good bones, we had the foundation to be that place in America that every young person wanted to be a part of. And you think about the residential demand in downtown Tampa and the urban core, which far outstrips the supply. You think about the fact that 2 out of the last 4 years, we've created more jobs in the Tampa Bay area than any place else in the state of Florida. You think about the buzz that's palpable, about the excitement that's being recognized all over the country as people are starting to wake up and say, what is going on in Tampa, Florida? What is it that's in the water? And lately, there's a lot of that. Why is it that people are wanting to invest in this community? Well, just as the urban core has turned its page, it's time for Port Tampa Bay to turn its page. And if you think about this property that we're standing on, anchored by the amazing Florida Aquarium, under the leadership of one of the finest entertainment, educational institutions in the form of Tom Stork. Tom, thank you for being here. And you think about what's happened in Channelside and the growth of Channelside and the construction that's taking place there and the desire of young people to come and be a part of it, young professionals, that intellectual capital that we're competing with regions all over the globe who are choosing not to go to Raleigh, Durham, or Charlotte, North Carolina anymore. They're choosing to come to Tampa, and they're bringing their friends with them. And if you think about this piece of property and what this piece of property has been historically for us, but most importantly and more importantly, what this will do for us in the future as we transform this in keeping with the port's mission, in keeping with the port's goal, but recognizing that this is a different world in which we live in, and perhaps there are better uses for this property that will complement everything that goes on in this port, but at the same time offers new opportunities for new types of development that will include retail and residential and commercial and public spaces that will complement everything that we are doing on this side, everything that Jeff Vinnick is about to do, everything that will happen on the west side of the Hillsborough River. And as we connect those dots from Ybor City to the Armory, north to Seminole Heights, and south to Harbor Island, and we create that urban environment that will be the envy of the nation. It began 4 years ago. It's not done, but this is a big day. Thank you to everyone that participated. Let's figure out how to make this work. I hope you're as excited as I am about what you're about to see, because this is a big day for the port, but it's an even bigger day for our community. Let's go get her done. Thanks.
See what I mean? Best mayor in North America. Real easy. It's my pleasure now to introduce one of the leading partners and architects that we have worked with on this incredible, exciting project. And quite frankly, it wasn't a very difficult decision when we went looking for assistance in helping us develop this plan. We have known of this firm for a long time. They are clearly one of the best urban waterfront planners in the world, and I mean that literally. Have an incredible track record of projects that they have created throughout the world and North America. So it's my pleasure to introduce Louis Ajamel of Bermillo Ajamel Partners. Louis?
Thank you very much, Paul, for those kind words, and thank you all. I'm going to take about 10 minutes to hopefully get you as excited as the mayor gets me excited every time I listen to him. And it is really an honor to be here presenting on behalf of the entire team that has worked on this. And what I mean the team has been a lot of people. But I just want you to start thinking that what we're presenting here is a vision that will take shape very quickly, because this is a project that will be picked up throughout the world, and it's going to have that reverberation and that resonance that the mayor was just talking about of what's happening here in Tampa. I want to start by saying that waterfront projects, and we've done this all over the world, are very difficult projects to execute and do. And in fact, they are fraught with a lot of failures, that they don't come to success. And we studied that very carefully because there are three major reasons why waterfront projects don't come to fruition, as you're going to see today. First, and most times, is the port authorities themselves don't recognize that it's time to evolve. So you see in Europe a lot of cities where a lot of their old waterfronts are dilapidated because they forgot that sailing ships left a long time ago, that transatlantic traffic of people are no longer happening, the containerization moves a little bit different. And that's clearly not the case here. Paul and the entire Port Tampa Bay team recognized there was something bigger with this property. The second part, which is more the technical, a lot of times is not founded on good, sound, financial, market-driven principles and public policy. And as a result, a lot of these projects don't get funded because they don't have a financial underpinning. I can assure you this is not the case on this one. But the biggest one of all is that waterfront are really full of conflicts, and people bring with them a lot of history, whether it's personal history of working on the waterfront, whether living near the waterfront, and tend to already create schisms between sides that don't allow you to come up with a great plan. This is the only city, and I'm telling you without blinking an eye, that has not occurred. Every single entity person that we spoke about has worked in a constructive and a meaningful way to come up with the ideas that we've shown you. From its earlier ideas with our first meeting with the aquarium is why don't we do something with the property and the parking. But it all links with leadership, and this constructive leadership has started with City Council and the CRA, with the Port Tampa Bay Board and its chair, Mr. Swindell, with the County Commission and Sandy Merman and everybody there, with the Port executives, Paul and Raul Alfonso and Ram Concharla and Charles Klug. But more importantly, the second meeting we had after meeting with the aquarium was with Mayor Buckhorn, and he gave us the freedom to think. He gave us the freedom not to put any shackles on us, and that's really, really important. So I'm going to take about 10 minutes to give you in the framework a little bit of the presentation. You're going to start seeing some images, and when you turn around, you'll see some images later. But, you know, waterfront Tampa was created around the best harbor that Florida has, the best natural harbor. It became a natural point, and as a result, the city evolved over that, but evolved over the traffic that came over the docks. So the docks became very, very important, the banana docks. But as in other cities, as I said earlier, that waterfront that initially gave cities life now creates a new birth for these cities, and the ability to think through how the transformation that is already beginning to happen, that has happened already in the Channel District with the housing, begins to play and create and really finish off what is a great city already. So in many ways, the plan that we're coming up with is very easy because a lot of the hard work has already been done in the early planning. So we're taking a property that, one, this is the largest single block of property in the downtown area of Tampa. So that by its very nature tells you how meaningful and important this is going to be at 45 acres. That were acquired predominantly to do cruise ship tourism. And things that having to do with tourism started to evolve, the aquarium, the shops, and so forth. And now, over a period of a decade or so, what has happened is across the street, we've created this great residential community. And we think that cruise ship tourism still will grow, but it will still be here, but won't grow because of the Skyway Bridge. So it's a different framework to look at it, at the property. So we started thinking of how to plan this property. Is it continued as a port, as a working waterfront, as a destination, more tourism? Is it more central business district, or is it part of the urban living and finish out the city? And what we discovered as we went along and talked to people is that the sweet spot was combining all of that into a very rich fabric for this master plan. What's really important is the port's mission is the development of maritime activities. And the city's mission is to evolve the overall climate for this, for everybody here. And what we wanted to create is that perfect balance between maintaining working waterfront where it can exist and adding the urban living components to basically complete the Channelside district. So the question that we began to ask and talk to the city is, how do we take what's already happening across the street and how can we make it better? So you have already done the hard legwork of beginning to bring a lot of residents to the urban core. So now the next step is in the evolution is how do we then create that fabric of experiences that this is the neighborhood that everybody's going to be talking about, that people want to come and live and enjoy in Tampa. We have the biggest component. We have the waterfront. And waterfronts are something that are evocative, that people want to see, that people want to go and relax, that people want to go use and make some money about. But for us to be able to engage the neighborhood with the waterfront, we wanted to make it, we want to connect the waterfront back to Channelside, which is difficult for ports to do because of security and many things. But with the willingness of both parties, I think you will see that the plan achieves that. So at the same time, all the other things that the mayor was talking about that happened here, is happening here, and this property is right at the center point, at the joint between what's happening with the strategic properties and this property and Channelside. So we're really in a very, very interesting situation that allows the property to grow in many different ways. We have, even though this is the first time there's a public unveiling of the work to date of this vision, we've had a lot of meetings, a lot of individual meetings very early on to listen to people, and we've taken that. We've done surveys, we had an open house, so it's been a lot of input. And there's more to come. That's all we can, promise you. There's a lot to do. To develop this plan that you're seeing up here. And the plan can be characterized, as you can see, as a totally different way of what this property was originally planned and what it is today. I'm going to go through it a little bit at a time just to show you what we've done. The first is connecting it back to the city and to the Channel District by integrating all the streets, and they'll become pedestrian or vehicular streets that will go all the way to the water's edge. The project will be divided into 4 distinct districts, what we call the Cruise District, in the center of the Park District, then the Central Waterfront District, and finally the Marina District. And I'm going to go through it very quickly on each one. The Channelside waterfront, the other thing that you will see that is different is we're working with the city, very collaborative, is to change the way that the codes are written to maintain the same density, but to protect and enhance view corridors and open space. To do that, we're integrating more tall structures, which are significant with what's happening over here already. And this gives you sort of a mass diagram going from the aquarium on the left-hand side all the way to the right, but I'm going to show you in a little bit now more detail. So the Cruise District is the first one, which is right next to the aquarium where the existing Cruise Terminal 3 is. The idea, rather than maintain a cruise terminal where you're sitting here, this terminal will be demolished. And that terminal over there would be enlarged, and all the ships along the Ybor Channel will now be served out of that one terminal. So it's sort of like an airport. You don't have a terminal for each plane, you have a central terminal. What this will allow us to do is to create a very significant building that can have multi-purposes. It allows us then to do a land swap with the aquarium city for the parking that is in front, trade and put the aquarium parking in the garage, which is near the aquarium, which is one of the earlier discussion that was suggested, and then turn that site up front into a mixed-use project that will have some residential and a hotel, commercial. And what we think would be a really winner there is a Mercado that will be an open air or enclosed space that will be sort of where tourists can come, but at the same time the neighborhoods will really enjoy coming there. The expanded parking in the front will serve the whole district very well by concentrating all the parking in that area so we don't end up with a lot of towers with parking going to the ground. And there's a view of what the terminal, the expanded terminal would look like. The existing terminal is behind that building. It would expand. And the terminal will actually terminate into one of the most distinct features of the entire plan, which is the Park District. When you look at great waterfronts, and Paul mentioned some of them, I've been racking my brain. Where has a major port or city actually taken out a huge chunk of property to make it into a park on the waterfront? I can't think of one. They're all very small, 1 acre, 2 acre property. This is a major park that we felt the community needed. And that park will go all the way from Channelside Drive to the water's edge. It will allow us to have a continuation of activities. The park is to be designed later by the city, and I'm sure with a lot of community input, but what we wanted to show you is a vision that this is a significant park that could have many activities for the neighborhood, for residents. And it would also have a high park also running along the roof of the terminal, which is where the passengers will be moving back and forth to get to the other ship, which is, what it will do is will give us continuous waterfront access for anybody walking all the way from downtown around all the way into the banana docks, as you know. So it is a very, very significant park that should be very welcomed by the neighborhood, because right now what they have is the smaller pocket parks. And properly designed, this will be the landmark. This is not a copy of anybody else's waterfront. This is not a Ferris wheel. This is nothing. This is your own Tampa Bay version of a great waterfront. The park will be able to work with the ships and without the ships. And to do that, we will integrate something that we opened up in San Francisco last year, which are these gates that can open and close. The Coast Guard, we went extensively to the Coast Guard, they were approved there, and we hope that working in partnership with them, that will be approved also, which will mean when there's no ship, those gates will be open, people can walk out right to the water's edge, and the day that the ship is there, those gates are closed, and then it's going back to security. So very unique and very powerful. And adjacent to the parks, we're putting some residential towers that will not only coexist with the park, but would actually give life to the park all day long. We're preserving a lot of the view quarters, and what we've integrated here is what we call the landmark towers. And the landmark towers we hope will be as tall as the market will bear, as tall as the FAA will allow. What we're showing you there are 75-story towers. We think the market will bear that today. And it is a kind of a landmark type of structure. It's very thin, allowing great view quarters from every other place. You already are beginning to see those numbers begin to creep up throughout the neighborhood. So we think this is, if you're ever going to have a landmark towers, this is the place for them. To the next side, we have the Channelside waterfront, the central waterfront. And the central waterfront is where this building is. This is a great opportunity to commercial and hotel on this property while advancing additional residential on Channelside Drive. What we think about Channelside Drive is that it should be lined with residential and retail on both sides. And it will be a very interesting compact development. The final jewel in this is to take the banana docks and to maintain a different type of working waterfront, to introduce recreational waterfront with the marina and a lot of the retail that the area is totally missing, and it will be in conjunction with everything else that is going in town. We think this is going to be a great opportunity to create plazas where people can come and have their coffee on Sundays, Whole Foods, all of these kind of activities, but integration of some very unique residential, commercial, and community activities, and a lot of open space. In fact, one of the buildings here to the right that we're showing could be actually a residential tower that would have a dry boat storage underneath. So you could own a unit and you can have your own boat there. But more importantly, is to create a place, and this will be the anchor. As you come across all the way and you walk all the way down, you got a place here to sit down and relax and enjoy, and where the community can come and do shopping. The final piece of integrating the two is to do something with Channelside Drive, and I think it's recognized by everybody that the width and the nature and the scale of that doesn't work into our favor. So we did a lot of studies, and the concept that is shown on the plan, and we'll have to go through a series of tests, is to do several things. So to take the sidewalk on the west side, the other side, widen it so that that can blossom into sidewalk cafes, integrate on-street parking so that those residents can narrow down the driving lanes of Channelside from here to the aquarium because they're not really needed, and then with the trolley line begin to think futuristically at the change of technology of beginning to green that corridor that will have bikeways, pedestrian, and the trolley eventually changing in some form of technology that then will support the transportation needs of the community, just like you see in Europe, and you see a lot of the images here, where there are really trolleys running almost on a park. We think that's a really important element of the plan that has been proposed. So this is a view that we took about a month ago, and this is what it would look like at build-out. You can see it's a very, very exciting project. Once you were to be able to overlay that with what's happening elsewhere in Tampa, it's a very exciting time. Now, to do this, it requires a partnership. I'm just going to hit a couple of salient points. One, I talked already, the ability to trade land between the port that has the waterfront land so they can create the park with the parking, and in return, put the parking in the garage. The port will be executing the different elements of the infrastructure that would allow then developers to come in and invest in each of those parcels. We've been talking with the city and the CRA in funding the infrastructure such as the Channelside Drive, some of the streets that cross the park. We expect that the amount of taxes that will be generated by this property alone over the life of the CRA is over $300 million. The port will invest in its own facilities by building the bulkheads. They have to be rebuilt, and the terminals. The aquarium garage moves to the garage. In total, what you're looking at is a project about 9 million square feet of development with a value of private investment over $1.5 billion. That, short of Hudson Yards in New York, is one of the largest waterfront projects in the nation and its totality. So it is significant. When you put this project with what Mr. Vinnick is doing, they resonate, and they both will grow in a very, very dramatic and supportive way of each other. So we're very excited to share that with you. It is a vision. There's a lot of steps to go from here, and we look forward to working with everybody in the city and the county and the port to make it a reality. Thank you.
Thank you, Louis. As you can see why the excitement that we have coming into the room today, and as we've worked on this project with many of you here in this room, I want to reemphasize some of the points that Louis made, that number one, this was a very engaging process where we worked with virtually all of the key stakeholders in the community that will be able to utilize this proposed vision project that we are presenting to you today, where you can work, live, and play. It also complements what Mr. Vinnick is doing on the channel side to the arena. And we have worked very closely, Louis's team, with the Vinnick team, and our staff, our executive management team, our board members have, led by our chairman Swindell, have worked very closely with the Vinnick team. So I want to also come to conclusion with that this is not Port Tampa Bay's plan. This is not the city's plan. This is not the maritime community's plan. This is not a developer's plan. This is a plan that belongs to everybody. It's a bold vision. It is, as Mayor Buckhorn talks about and Commissioner Merman talks about, around this city, when you see them at events, economic development events, groundbreakings, talking about the future of this city. This is what can happen when you have strong, bold leadership in a community working together. This could not have been done, and I think Louis touched on that. He has worked in dozens and dozens of projects along the waterfront and cities in Europe, the Middle East, South America, North America, and he has seen that it just rarely ever all comes together like this. So it's an exciting day. It's an exciting plan. What we're going to be doing now is taking questions up here about the plan. We'll answer questions for a little while, and then we'll be available afterwards as well.